Hello and welcome to the Squared Circle Psychobabble. My name is Michael Valenti. This is Ralph Valenti. And tonight we're making our WWE Royal Rumble 2019 predictions. Before we get to the matches, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell for notifications as we're trying to get to 5,000 YouTube subscribers before All Elite Wrestling, Double or Nothing. For the sake of brevity here, Ralph, let's just quickly go to the pre-show. We have two matches there. Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura for the United States Championship. We both have Rusev retaining.
Yep.
And for the Cruiserweight Championship, we have Buddy Murphy versus Akira Tozawa versus Hideo Itami versus Kalisto. And I believe we both have Buddy Murphy retaining there as well. So two retentions in the pre-show. So if you want to fast forward to any other matches that we'll talk about here on the Squared Circle Psychobabble, we'll have the timestamps in the description. So we're going to start things off with the Raw Women's Championship match, only because there was some big news that happened Thursday morning with the Raw Women's Champion, Ronda Rousey. She's going up against Sasha Banks this Sunday at the Royal Rumble. But the news has broken from Dave Meltzer saying that Ronda Rousey will be leaving WWE after WrestleMania 35. Does this affect the plans that they have in store for Ronda Rousey?
I mean, obviously, it's going to play a big part in ultimately the decision that's made. I did see the report that she was going to be leaving after WrestleMania, and then I also saw a report following that on TMZ that she wasn't going to be leaving WWE. So, is it just one of those internet rumors that typically starts right around this time? Usually, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, you'll see all sorts of things, whether it's Ronda Rousey, Shawn Michaels, Sting, Undertaker. These things kind of tend to have a life of their own, especially around this time of year.
That's true. And don't forget, one of the big reasons why this rumor came out is that there is a clause in her contract where she can leave after 1 year, really to focus on starting a family with her and her husband. So that could be the reason she's leaving. It's not because she wants to go to New Japan Pro Wrestling or All Elite Wrestling or Ring of Honor or anywhere else. So anybody that's speculating that, I think we could put that to rest right now, unless something develops between now and WrestleMania 35, but I don't see it. But let's get on to the match here. Do you see Ronda Rousey winning and retaining the Raw Women's Championship?
I actually have Ronda losing the belt to Sasha. And the reason I say that is, and it all depends on where this match is going to go in the card, but assuming it goes somewhere remotely close to the beginning of the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
I think Becky Lynch comes out and costs her the title the very same way that Ronda went out there in TLC and cost her and Charlotte the title. Because don't forget, I don't think to this point Becky's really gotten any type of revenge for that.
Well, she couldn't because Becky's on Smackdown and Ronda's on Raw.
Well, I mean, they had the angle that time, obviously, where Becky and the rest of the women's division from SmackDown did, quote unquote, invade Monday Night Raw, which pretty much set up the interference for Ronda Rousey at TLC. But I do think, and I'll go over why all of this is going to make sense based on my predictions, but I think Sasha Banks is going to win because of a Becky Lynch interference.
Now, I see Becky Lynch interfering in this match, but it's going to cost Sasha Banks the match. I think Ronda wins by disqualification.
Okay.
This will set up a eventual 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen match that I think everybody is at least speculated or wishing to see here, whether that happens at SummerSlam or Survivor Series, wherever the case may be. But we see the 4 fingers keep coming up from Sasha Banks, so I do think that is playing a role in this storyline. Right. So Becky Lynch, while it does cost Sasha the match, I think they gang up, attack Ronda. Ronda retains, so everybody's protected in some way. And you could still have a match between Ronda and Sasha down the line. So let's move over to another big match here. This one for the Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar against Finn Balor, which, 2 weeks ago, it was supposed to be Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman, or at least that's what we thought. Strowman on an angle destroys Vince McMahon's limousine, fined $100,000, and is taken out of the match. Instead, we have Finn Balor put in after winning a fatal 4-way against Drew McIntyre, John Cena, and Baron Corbin. I was corrected from our last video that I talked about this. I said Bobby Lashley, but it was actually Baron Corbin that was in that match. So thank you to the person that corrected me on that. This is a very interesting one. I think there's a lot of people out there that believe Lesnar is going to squash Balor in this match. I don't see that.
I don't either.
I see this being just like Styles and just like Daniel Bryan. And these are the kind of opponents that Brock Lesnar has admitted to liking. These smaller guys that can move around with him instead of these monster versus monster, slow motion matches that he kind of has with Braun in the past. So I think this is going to be a very good match. Could steal the show.
Yeah.
The question is, do we see the Demon?
I don't think so, and that the only reason I say that is because I don't think Finn Balor is going to win. I don't think Finn Balor needs to win. I don't think he's going to get squashed like a lot of people are saying. But I do think Finn Balor, much like Daniel Bryan, much like AJ Styles previously, will come out of this match looking really good. I do expect this to be the best one of the best matches, if not the best match of the night. Because, like you just said, we know what Brock Lesnar can do when he's in there with a smaller guy, a smaller, agile guy who can really complement his style, right? Some suplexes, and then you build up Finn Balor's comeback, and then ultimately down the stretch, you have some near falls on either side, and it just makes for a really fun match.
Now,
so I think this one will definitely be the best match of the night.
Now, earlier this week, Finn Balor did say that he was not going to be the Demon.
Yep.
I believe this is a work. I think he's coming out as the Demon.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to beat Brock Lesnar and become...
You're one of the believers.
I'm one of the believers.
Yeah.
I think Finn Balor is winning the Universal Championship on Sunday.
And don't forget, I mean, it's still out there. We still don't know what Brock Lesnar is going to do. There's still the rumored fight with him and DC in the UFC. Dana White commented on that. Not this most recent UFC fight, but the previous pay-per-view, Jones and Gustafsson. And he did say that he's still a guy that's in his mind. You know, that's still a fight that they want to put on. They know it's going to do a lot of pay-per-view buys. So if Brock wants to take time off, who knows? We may not even see Lesnar at WrestleMania. I think we will, but I think it's also likely that he could take some time off, go continue to train, fight in the UFC, potentially come back. And if they put the belt on Finn Balor, I'd be all for that.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting.
It is going to be very interesting. Again, that is probably going to be the best match of the night. So,
I would think so.
Let's move on to SmackDown, and probably going to be a novelty act of a match, but still could be a good match. And that is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. It's The Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, defending against The Miz and Shane McMahon, the quote-unquote best tag team in the world, which I thought that was already Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. Oh, no, that was the greatest tag team.
Right.
That was the greatest tag team. So do you see Shane and The Miz win, or do you see something happen that costs them the match and lead to a WrestleMania match where it's Shane versus The Miz?
I think that's where this is going to go ultimately. I'd like to see The Bar win, but I could very easily see Shane and The Miz winning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate because you hear all these things right now going around on the internet that this tag team wants to leave. I read today somewhere that the New Day was potentially looking to jump ship because they're just not investing in the tag team division. They're not given the right opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. So you got a really good tag team, a very credible tag team in The Bar, and you're going to essentially have Shane McMahon. I don't even know if you can consider him a part-time wrestler. He's more of a one-off guy.
Right.
Potentially win the tag team titles alongside The Miz. Now, don't get me wrong. I love what they've been doing with The Miz and Shane McMahon. But when you talk about the timing of all of this, could you imagine if WWE said, we're really going to invest in the tag teams now and put a belt on Shane McMahon? I don't know if that's going to sit right with the rest of the tag team division. And I understand why they do it. And I think that they have really good chemistry together, and I enjoy what they do, but I don't think the timing's right, and I think The Bar should be the team that wins this.
Now, what if Shane McMahon and The Miz end up kind of like the Rock and Sock connection or the two-man power trip, something like that, or even Team Hell No, where, yes, it doesn't make sense that they are a tag team, but they're winning and making credibility for the tag team champion. It adds another tag team to the division and actually puts a top storyline for WrestleMania with the tag team championship.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind it
in
the short term. Long term, if this goes on for like 6, 7 months and they have a long reign with it, then we have a problem. But I actually do see Shane and The Miz winning. And before WrestleMania, they'll drop it to another tag team, whether that is the Bar getting them back, whether it's the Usos, whether it's the New Day getting them back, or even out of nowhere, Gallows and Anderson or Sanity pop up. But I'm saying Shane and The Miz win.
Yeah, my only reservation with that, I think, is if they put a belt on a McMahon. I don't think the wrestlers themselves within the company are going to be upset. I think more of the fan base will be frustrated, and the first thing that they're going to say is, oh, see, they don't care about the tag teams. They make Shane McMahon the champion, et cetera, et cetera. But, I mean, who knows? I'd like to see the Bar, but I could very realistically see Shane and The Miz walking away from Royal Rumble as the champions, too.
All right, now let's go on to another championship match on SmackDown. It's the WWE Championship match, AJ Styles versus Daniel Bryan. And did you see what Daniel Bryan tweeted?
Yes, I did. About the cheeseburger?
The Royal Rumble burger?
Yep.
In case you guys didn't see it, there's a picture of a burger that Chase Field will be having the night of the Royal Rumble, and it's got, fried food and carbs and fats,
bacon,
and
everything that you'd like in a cheeseburger.
Right. So, of course, not vegan friendly. And Daniel Bryan tweeted out basically, you're just putting money in your pocket. You're not doing anything with it. Do the right thing and donate the profits to some charity. Yeah. It's like you want to hate Daniel Bryan for what he's doing and how he acts, but at the same time, he's got a point.
He's got a point, and I think that's going to resonate with a lot of people. I think that him as a heel, this is probably some of the best work he's done, especially since he's been back. This is hands down the best work that he's done.
Right.
So, I actually think Daniel Bryan's going to win this match.
I agree. I think Daniel Bryan does win, especially because with AJ Styles' contract running out, who knows if he's going to resign. If he resigns, what terms? I believe he wants a much lighter schedule, and as WWE champion, you can't, unless you're Brock Lesnar, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So I say Daniel Bryan retains, and it could set up a very good WrestleMania match. It all depends on who wins the men's Royal Rumble match. Now, instead of just going and saying who wins this match, we have a couple of little predictions for each of the Rumble matches. But before we get to those Rumble matches, I forgot about one important match. It's for the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yeah, how could you forget that?
Because I'm just assuming that Becky's going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble.
Yep.
But anyway, Becky Lynch versus Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, you said earlier in the podcast that Becky Lynch will interfere with Ronda Rousey and cost her the match and possibly the Raw Women's Championship. Does Ronda then retaliate, or does Ronda, it depends on where the card will be, but let's say this match is first, which a lot of people are assuming this match is going to go first. Does that affect the rest of the night?
Definitely does. So I have, like I said, I have Ronda losing and I have Becky losing as well. I don't necessarily expect Becky to lose clean, and I do think that Ronda can get involved in one way or another. But again, that's going to set up everything that I have predicted from the Women's Royal Rumble into WrestleMania going forward. So I actually have Asuka winning this match, clean or by interference by Ronda. More than likely, I'm going to say a screwy finish with a Ronda interference again.
There will be some type of screwy finish, I believe. I don't know if it's going to be Ronda or if it's going to be Charlotte, or we get even a bigger swerve and Nia Jax gets involved. Mm-hmm. Something's going to be weird about this match, and especially if it's first on the card, which a lot of people are assuming and speculating.
So we have 2 heavyweight championship matches, 2 female championship matches. You can't convince me that the WWE is not going to do a dusty finish on at least 1 or 2 of those.
One of those, yes.
So it's just inevitable. There's no way you're going to have 4 clean finishes. I just don't see it.
Especially with the Women's Royal Rumble. Right now, you would think that Charlotte is the hands-down favorite to win it, assuming that Becky is not in it, assuming that Ronda is not in it, assuming that Sasha is not in it, and assuming that Asuka is not in it. So assuming those 4 are not in it, Charlotte is easily the favorite to win the Royal Rumble for the women. So with that said, let's do our predictions for the Women's Royal Rumble. So here's how we're going to do our predictions for each Rumble match. We'll have the prediction for entrance number 1 and entrance number 2. we're going to have the Iron Man or Iron Woman, the most eliminations, and the final 4 and the winner. So we'll start with the women's Royal Rumble match. So entry number 1, Ralph, I'll start with you. Who's number 1? Who's number 2?
I got Mandy Rose coming out first.
Ooh, so, Corey Graves is going to go absolutely nuts.
And we know that, of course, she is feuding
with Naomi.
So I actually have those two coming out, 1 and 2. Kind of to help build off what they've already had going on between them on SmackDown. They don't have a match individually outside of the Royal Rumble, so you got to think that at some point they're going to get their hands on one another. At least there's some type of story already there, so why not have that right out at the forefront? It'll get the fans into it. And like you said, Mandy Rose, it seems like somebody that they're actually going to try to get behind. So I got those two coming out first.
All right. I have at number 1, I have Bayley going at number 1. And number 2, I am going with Sonya Deville. Okay. Two random people to start the Royal Rumble match, but can have a good solid 5 minutes before the next entrant or, entrant 3, entrant 4 come out until we start getting the ring filled with competitors. So I'm going with those 1 and 2. And I do see Bayley having a long run in this Royal Rumble match, just simply because Sasha won't be in it. Ronda won't be in it. Becky may be in it. And if she is, much later in the match, Charlotte, I could see WWE trying to subliminally put Charlotte at the number 3 spot to tell the story of, hey, Ric Flair won it at number 3. Charlotte can win it at number 3 too, and do that story. And the younger fan base might not know the Ric Flair 92 Rumble, but if you haven't, go watch it on the WWE Network. It is the best Royal Rumble match of all time without question, but that's for another debate. Now, the Iron Woman for the Royal Rumble.
Yep. I'm going with Charlotte. I think that she's going to look really strong in this. I think that she's going to eliminate a bunch of people. And like you said, I think she's probably the odds-on favorite to win it. That's who I got.
All right. I am also going with Charlotte, and I am going to say she will be the number 3 entrant in the Royal Rumble. So I have Bayley 1, Sonya 2, Charlotte 3, and Charlotte is going to be the Iron Woman in this match. So final 4, I'm going with Charlotte, Becky, who comes in at either 29 or attacks Carmella and comes in her spot at 30, Nia Jax, and Bayley.
Okay, I'm actually pretty similar there. So I actually have Nia Jax. I have Becky as well getting into the Royal Rumble. I have Charlotte. And then last but not least, I actually have Alexa Bliss.
Alexa Bliss. I mean, it's her first match back from injury.
But she was heavily pushed until she got hurt.
True.
So I don't know what they're going to do with her. But if you think about all the accomplishments and all the kind of positions that they had her in beforehand, I got to think that they're going to make her look strong going into the Royal Rumble.
I would think so. But if she's in the final 4, so
I think she'll hide behind Nia Jax. We saw that they did have that tension. Obviously, they had their feud earlier in the year, and now obviously on the most recent Raw, we had Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss. It seemed like they were on good terms. So I have Bliss and Jax kind of working together, and then you can kind of do the thing where Charlotte and Becky kind of work together, even though they're enemies. So that's going to be my 4 that I have.
All right. So basically, we have the same. You have Bliss instead of Bayley, but the other 3 we have the same.
Yep.
Who is your winner of the 2019 Women's Royal Rumble?
So I'm going with my favorite. I'm going with the Iron Woman, and I'm saying Charlotte takes it home. I think that what they're going to do is set up Ronda Rousey versus Becky at WrestleMania. I don't know if there's going to be a title involved right now. More than likely, I'm going to say no. But I'm going to say that Charlotte wins and goes on to face Asuka in a rematch at WrestleMania. Because one of the things that I've noticed is leading up to their match at WrestleMania last year, they didn't talk too much about Asuka's streak. Now they're kind of teasing that a little bit more. They've been touching on how Asuka wasn't the same ever since Charlotte beat her at WrestleMania. I know Becky had made a point to establish that in one of her recent promos. Last night on SmackDown, we saw Charlotte Flair come out and talk about how she ended Asuka's streak. So I kind of get the sense that that's the direction they're going to go. And they had, in my estimation, I think it was one of the best matches, if not the best match of the night at WrestleMania last year. So I'm going to say they set up Charlotte versus Asuka.
And quickly, before I go to my winner, most eliminations.
Most eliminations, Nia Jax.
Nia Jax? Okay. My most eliminations will be Charlotte as well. So not only will she be the Iron Woman, she'll also have the most eliminations.
Right.
And do you know what Wednesday was in WWE history?
I know NXT was on.
Besides that, something, a while back.
Not off the top of my head.
It was the 25th anniversary of the 1994 Royal Rumble, which ended with Lex Luger and Bret Hart hitting the mat at the same time. I believe they will do the exact same thing in this match.
And you were saying Becky and Charlotte?
Becky and Charlotte, they will try to, and it's gonna be very hard to do this. Trust me, I'm in television. I understand how hard this is gonna be with the way technology works nowadays to execute this. But they are gonna do Becky and Charlotte hit the mat at the same time, co-champions, and end up either doing Charlotte versus Ronda in one match, Becky versus Ronda in another, or a triple threat match at WrestleMania 35.
Right.
All right, let's move on to the men's Royal Rumble match. Number 1 and number 2. For me, I'll start this one. Number 1, Seth Rollins. Number 2, Andrade Cien Almas. Or should I just call him Andrade?
I call him Cien Almas because I think that Andrade is a little bit harder to pronounce because I can't really roll my tongue.
Andrade.
Yeah, I can't do that too well. So I'm right there with you. I have Almas coming in at number 2. My number 1 entry is actually Rey Mysterio. These guys have been lights out on SmackDown lately. So I think they're going to go at it a little bit here. I think that we actually get the payoff to this somewhat of a feud, hopefully at WrestleMania. I'd love it if there was some type of ladders involved. I mean, these guys have been awesome. So those are my 2 that I got going in first.
Yep. And they're going to have a long time in this match, I believe.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, Ray, you already know he could do over an hour in a Rumble. He's done it before. Almas had a really good Rumble match last year. Had what, 30? I think it was 35 minutes in. So not bad for his first Rumble match, his first appearance on the WWE main roster as well. So let's go to most eliminations.
I have Lars Sullivan. I think that we're finally going to see the debut. I know there's all of the rumors circulating about anxiety attacks and how Vince hates him and all of this stuff. Triple H recently did another interview where he said that nothing's wrong with Lars Sullivan. Everything is going according to plan. You'll see that soon. They've debuted everybody else except him. So I got to think.
In a way. I wouldn't necessarily call him like Heavy Machinery and Nikki Cross had debuts.
Had legitimate debut. Nikki Cross was not on Raw this week, was she?
No,
not that I saw it.
She was not.
That's for another debate. But again, consistency on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. I don't understand that. But anyway, I think we're going to get Lars Sullivan actually debuting. I do think this will eventually lead to a feud with Cena, or potentially we're going to see Cena and McIntyre. I'm not sure, but I think Lars Sullivan comes in, has a really good showing, and this is going to be his debut match.
So you have Lars at most eliminations. How many?
How many? I don't know. Maybe 9.
That's a lot.
9. They want to establish this guy as a monster.
9? Oof. First, well, if he does 9, he's got to be in there early.
Yeah.
I would say like 11 or 12.
Yep.
All right. Most eliminations for me, Drew McIntyre. And he doesn't, and McIntyre does not need to go in early for this. You can have him go in at like 21, 22, clear house, clear everybody out, have like 5 eliminations, and then maybe 2 more in the final 10. And he'll have a total of 7 is what I'm going with there. Final 4.
Final 4. I have Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins, Mustafa Ali, and Randy Orton.
Wow. That is a good final 4.
Yeah,
Mustafa Ali, really?
I think that they're going to use that platform to really kind of cement one of the young guys. You know, I went back and forth. I've had Drew McIntyre there. He's a little more established than Mustafa Ali. I think what we're going to see is Mustafa Ali gets like a cheap elimination towards the end of Samoa Joe. Like Samoa Joe is going to look really good. He'll have his back turned, and then Mustafa Ali will eliminate him. Samoa Joe will get pissed off.
Like a Maven.
Undertaker and Maven.
Undertaker,
yeah, similar
Maven.
to that, right? But maybe not to that extent, because that's like to the extreme of it. But So I think Mustafa Ali's going to be in the final four, and I think he's going to have a pretty good showing.
All right. My final four is going to be Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Samoa Joe, and Andrade Cien Almas.
Okay. So you're going with another young guy, Almas.
I'm going with Almas. I think, I mean, we were hearing reports back in October that Vince really likes Andrade Cien Almas. And, you know, all of a sudden, we heard reports this week that, you know, Andrade Cien Almas told his buddies, you know, don't come to WWE. You know, it's not as good as it makes it out to be. And they're pushing him because of that. You know, this is what I'm talking about with the dirt sheets sometimes. It's like, you know, not for nothing. Back in October, we're saying that Almas is possibly winning the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
That was the rumor. He could be pushed in winning the Royal Rumble. Now it's, oh, he's angry at how he's pushed. Even though he's probably looked really good in the last month.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to believe here. So who is winning out of these four?
So out of my four, and this is not who I want to win. This is going with, I guess you can say, logic or predictability based on what WWE has typically done. I think Braun Strowman wins, reluctantly. I say that.
Strowman.
I want Seth Rollins, but I think what they're going to do is set up Strowman versus Lesnar at WrestleMania. And that's not a match I want to see. I want to see Seth Rollins take the belt off Brock. But something leads me to believe they skipped over the Strowman-Lesnar match at Royal Rumble for a reason, because they want it for WrestleMania. Now, I don't think that's the right match to make, but we know that there's this weird infatuation with the big guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of playing on that notion now where you have Vince coming out saying Finn Balor can't win because it's just not believable.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing on the fact that there's always been that rumor that Vince McMahon doesn't want to invest in smaller guys because it's just not believable that they can beat a guy like Brock Lesnar. So I think what we'd likely see based on looking at history is Strowman and Lesnar, and Strowman taking the belt off Lesnar. Now, that's not what I want, but that's what I think we're going to get.
I am going to disagree. Not only are we going to have someone that's not Braun Strowman win, we're going to have the third time in WWE history a number one entrant wins the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
Seth Rollins is not only my Iron Man, he is going to win the Royal Rumble from the number one spot.
Yep.
You know, being the likes of Shawn Michaels and that guy we can't mention, so we won't.
Yeah.
But even WWE skipped his name when they listed all the number one entrants in a recent article. So I believe Seth Rollins, they're going to push him really strong. And your Universal Championship will not be a one-on-one match. It will eventually be some kind of fatal four-way, I think, involving Seth, McIntyre, Balor, and Strowman, I think is the fatal four-way for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. So that's all our predictions. I got every match. I got every tick on the box for the Rumble matches. So that's it. What?
Kenny Omega's not going to be in the Rumble?
No, Kenny Omega is not in the Rumble for the last time. His contract is not up until February 1st.
Damn dirt sheets.
It's not happening. Not happening. Well, let us know what you think. What are your predictions for the Royal Rumble? Let us know in the comments if you think we're right, if you think I'm right, if you think Ralph's right, if you think either one of us are mixed right. Like this video, share this video, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as we're trying to get to 5,000 YouTube subscribers before All Elite Wrestling, Double or Nothing. The Royal Rumble match, or the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, looks like it's going to be one of the best pay-per-views in a long, long time for WWE. Yep. So I'm excited. It's my favorite pay-per-view of the year anyway. So hope you enjoyed this Sunday night. For Ralph Valenti, my name is Michael Valenti, and thank you for listening and watching the Squared Circle Psychobabble.